Hello, yes, this is your girl, Queen of Commentary, and we are back with another video. Yes, we'll be talking about Miss Brittany today and all the things that are happening and kind of, it's just surrounding her right now. We're not going to make fun of it. We're just going to hopefully learn something from it, right? And this is a message to her to be a better steward of your money and your time. Yes. But before we get into it, you know what to do. Thumbs up this video, subscribe if you have not already, cut your notifications on, and leave us a comment. So let me just let you know, when I found out about, and shout out to all the content creators that are basically staying in there in the paint, if you will, and basically on the story like white on rice. I cannot say that enough, and because that's how I'm staying aware of it, because I've been so busy in the vineyard working, very tired, almost want to quit, but God is saying take it one day at a time. It's funny, at one time we were going through a drought. It was something, and now it's a huge blessing. And I remember someone coming up to me and saying, oh yeah, you better tithe. Okay, God will tithe. He will basically bless you so much where you can't even handle it. And I thought it just meant, just some, extra money. I could still sit on my behind and just enjoy all the festivities of God's blessings. But no, yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it's coming with work. Remember, faith without works is what? You know the deal. And so that's what it is. And God is always leading me and guiding me, and He's left us His Holy Spirit to help us even during these tough times where I'm like, yeah, I needed some money, but oh my gosh, I'm busy. I had hardly any time for my other business. But you know what? You have to learn how to multitask. You have to learn how to multitask. And one thing about Miss Brittany is I think she thought that social media was going to be the same forever. I entered social media 10 plus years ago, and I've been through so many ups and downs in social media and finances and all of that, that I know better. That social media, including this one, will change overnight, and you have to always have something in your back pocket. So now she, was a boss or whatever, as they say, and now she's, working for someone else, or being an affiliate. And there's nothing wrong with being an affiliate, guys. I've been affiliate. We're all kind of affiliates. If you're working for YouTube, you are an affiliate. Everything that we get, they take a split of for the most part. Really, subscriptions, memberships, super chats, all of that, and of course the ads that you guys watch and all that. We don't get all of that. We get half. You get what I'm saying? But who actually works and gets all of their money? Nobody. Even if you're working for an hourly job, which that's what I'm doing. I'm working for an hourly job. I don't get my whole check. I have to pay dues. I have to pay taxes and all of that, and then I'll get the rest. Not to mention I have to tithe 10% of my gross every week. Yes, yeah. And I'm sharing this with you guys so you can do the same. Miss Brittany, are you tithing? Miss $10,000 a page or $400,000 a year. That's what they say you make. So if it's $400,000 a year, you know how much God would want? Just $40,000. You have to give God His due. If you don't, you will pay. God gives us everything. Everything we have goes to God or comes from God. Our gifts. Everything, our talents, our strength. Someone literally, I call him an angel because it certainly was. And he said, your job hired you for what you're able to do. What you're able to do is from God. God allowed me to be able to stand on my feet for hours, do what I do, be a customer service person. And so why wouldn't I want to pay the maker? Right? Pay the person who is allowing me to do so. And so if you're not raised that way, obviously she was not raised this way to give 10%. And you may not, I don't know if you have a church or I don't know, whatever, but give it away, give it with a good heart, and God will replace it. He will not replace it. He will restore, and He will give you so much that you can't handle it. And I'm going through that right now. I'm going through that right now with the increase, and I'm asking God to increase my strength so I can handle the many blessings that He has bestowed and pouring over my family every day. And so, I'm sorry to hear that Miss, Brittany is losing her car or losing her truck or, is repoed. And, I myself, to be honest, and this is like solely from my heart, I don't understand how someone can make a whole bunch of money and be broke. Like, what do you guys do? What do you social media people do, influencers? Because the storyline is kind of aligned or parallel to her ex-husband, Sir LaTruth, right? So LaTruth was like, he's no longer, monetized and all of that, and so they had to downgrade. Look, you guys, you have children. First of all, did you put up money for your children's education, for them when they get off, get out into the world? You have a nest egg for them to help them go out and do what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that is equivalent when you give people money and things like that. It's equivalent to just giving them a fish versus teaching them to fish. And a lot of us, we don't know how to fish for ourselves. We know how to accept. We know how to, because to be honest, who the heck needs $40,000 a month? Look, anybody's listening to this, you guys can tell me, Jenna, are you crazy? I would love to get $40,000 a month. But you really need to learn how to save and learn how to invest. Saving is putting up money, Miss Brittany, putting up money and forgetting about it. That's what saving. You put it into an interest-bearing account, and live off the interest every month or whatever, however it works. That's savings. Investing is putting some money towards a business or something that is going to pay you back, right? So a business, if you open up a store, that's an investment. She should have opened up a business, not that little whack business with her whatever baby daddy and that, stuff that molded. I mean, if you were going to get into the business of facials or having, skincare and all of that, that's a real business. I'm from, the era where I watch Young and the Restless, and they had a business called Jabot, and I think they did perfume and things like that. That's a real legitimate business. There's a lot of businesses out here that flourish over skincare. Skincare is a very, very lucrative and booming business. There's always people out here who wants to have some booming skin, even though I'm gonna tell you, it's not external, it's internal. So if you have bad skin, of course internal is number one, and of course external help. But you should have a business, and in fact you should have a business where your children can work in it. Other cultures do that. They actually raise their children into the business. So when they retire, they're not able to take care of their, themselves or whatever, or they're basically retired, their children take over their business. You get what I'm saying? I work right next to a business that I used to go to when I was like 17, 18, when I had my first job, and that business is still there, but it's not. I had to look at the lady. I was like, is that the same lady that was here 20, 30 years ago with me? No. It was her. She's the daughter of the mother. And the mom and the dad, they retired, but the business is still there. And that's other cultures. And we as a people, we need to learn how to do that as well. There's no excuse why you should be making content saying that you have to lose your car when you've made so much money. Do you know how much money? $40,000. There's so many people out here who they may make $40,000 a year. And social media doesn't give you financial advice. You get what I'm saying? Social media doesn't do that. It is your responsibility to know what to do with that type of money. And a lot of us, if you had $40,000 a year for a year, I think that's 100. I don't know how much that is. That's a lot of money. You guys let me know what it is in the comments, because I'm kind of tired doing this video. But I said, you know what? If I wait, I won't be able to do it. Okay, so I'm really running off fumes. I literally got off work, so I don't feel like doing the math of that. Can you guys let me know how much $40,000 a month, a year is? And if you just took a portion of that and put that into a business, you would be fine. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand, social media, they kind of love the fact that, you don't know that, because you have to kind of be in the rat race. You get what I'm saying? That you don't know about investing. One thing I learned is you certain things you don't pay on credit. You don't pay food on credit, and you don't fill your tank up on credit. Why? Because that's something you need to get all of the time. You want to use your credit card if you have a credit card, just to maybe for a business, maybe to invest, and then try to pay that off as soon as possible because the interest. He said, hey, they can come pick this up today or tomorrow, in repo. But the thing about it is, Miss Brittany, you still owe it. You know what I'm saying? If you're on the contract and that contract was for 5 years and you just gave it up and say, look, I can't, pay for it anymore. And it was funny because she said, hey, y'all can come get it while she was driving it. Because I just got a kind of sense that she was kind of on the run. She probably parks that truck all over the place instead of in front of her home. But, honey, they probably got a low jack on that thing. They going to find you, honey. They going to find you if you're at the store. It don't matter. They know where their stuff is. Trust and believe. They don't just give that to you. They got their devices. They have their ways to keep up with their investment and their merchandise. Because until you pay for it, it is still their merchandise. You owe the bank. You owe the car dealership, but you still owe it. So you might as well figure out how you can possibly keep it and just figure out how to whatever. But hey, whatever, it's unfortunate. And the thing about it is her children, she has all these kids. I'm still going to say she has 4 guys because the other 2 has not been verified. I'm keeping it real. When you catch me tired, fresh off of work, I'm not going to sit here and talk about dolls and impossible. It is what it is. She had 4 children. We've seen them. The 2 have not been verified. So she has these 4 children, and they're sitting there and they're depending on their mama, and their mama is not good with money. And the dads are probably not good with money either. Hopefully they are. Maybe the dads are better. Maybe they're whispering in their children's ear talking about how to save, how not to, spend. The fact that she, bought her man $30,000 what necklace was it? And then bought him a $10,000 watch. Am I correct? If I'm not correct, please correct your girl because I'll be watching all the videos and just putting it in my memory bank. But honey, that's what? So 30 and 10, that's $40,000. So you took one monthly check to deal with James, to give that to James? How does James feel? Honey, you're a sugar mama. Now, when the sugar mama dries out, now, where is James going to go? He's going to go to his many, many other whatever. Because the thing about it is, I feel like when he's in town, they're together. When he's out of town, they're not. Do you guys agree or disagree with that? When he is in town, making his rounds, them 2 are together as far as they're able to, fornicate, do whatever the heck they want, and then boom, it's deuces. I think he does have a main person that probably doesn't even have a quarter of what Miss Brittany have as far as finances or anything like that. It's probably a regular smuggler girl that he can sit there, lay up with, have fun with, probably have some hot dogs and oodles and noodles and just chill and don't have to be worried about the limelight and the spotlight and have to do pranks and all this and have to be fake and phony for social media that she's created off of her husband. You have to understand, this is off of LaTruth, right? Her little brand is off of LaTruth, and then he's kind of getting the reminiscences and the fumes from that. I mean, really, how can he actually feel like a man's man? And he's literally living off of his girlfriend / possible baby mama's ex-husband. Now, really, let's just keep it real. That's why I stay grounded. I stay sober. I don't do any of that because I'm able to think really further than some people. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, how does he feel internally knowing that he's living off of the truth? Okay, they all eat off the truth, right? And if this story does not continue down the road, then everybody's going to starve, right? I pray that everybody in this LaTruth saga is able to make money off of line. I mean, meaning basically they're not just depending on social media. Okay, because word on the curb is FB in August 31st, everything is going to change. It's going to be like a la gush. One thing about me, it was a slow burn. So it's not like, this is a surprise. Everything started slowing down for me and my family in 2023 off social media. So realistically, I'm like, hey, I'm straight. All I got to do is do what I've been doing and maybe I'll be fine. But I feel sorry for the people who are making that outlandish money where you're not going to find that. A doctor, I don't think, makes $40,000 a month. Can you guys fact check that? I don't think a doctor, a lawyer, rocket scientist, I don't think nobody else, no other field makes $40,000. So that's not something that you could just say, oh, replace. So I'd rather make realistic money a few $100s, maybe $1,000 a month, something that I could probably not easily replace, because it's nothing that can replace social media. Social media is just awesome, right? You can get on there, make a video, and possibly make a lot of money, So anybody who's listening to this, if you have something to share, a meal, or, motivation, or whatever, gossip, whatever, just look up what are the trending topics that people make channels off of. It's a nice little side business, but I don't care about how, I don't care if you are making $100,000 a year off of social media. At any time, they can pull the rug from up beneath you, and then you're used to, basically making all this money, and all of a sudden you're out there, looking ridiculous. You get what I'm saying? Because it's utterly ridiculous that she did not invest in her money. She didn't save. Because if you're going around talking about you can't afford $1,900 a month for just the car alone, that is ridiculous. That is complete, utter chaos for you to be paying $1,900 just for your car. We're not even talking about insurance. You get what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. What could you have done with that money? If you had cut that down by maybe half, what could you do that? What could you do with that extra money? Come on, Miss Brittany. And I heard her, she said, "Oh, I'm not going to do any frivolous spending." What are you spending on? The children spending on? What the children look like they're, kind of, on a ragamuffin side sometimes. It is what it is. And children don't need glitz and glam. They play, they grow. They don't need expensive clothes, but it just looks like you don't keep their hair up. You don't keep their clothes up. Where did it go? And so I just feel like there's a sickness going on, as far as there's an, disorder going on with money. People don't understand. This is a saying that my husband said, and he probably got it from somebody else. It's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. Okay, and so it looks like there's a huge drain of finances every month that's going on in her family, and she's trying to finance her social media, by buying a house, or doing a house, or apartment, and keeping up with the Joneses, and keeping up with her man, buying a man, to spend all that money on a man. James is expensive. What has he done? I mean, really, do you listen to Janet? What has he done for you lately, Miss Brittany? Ooh, yeah. Like, really, what's going on? What does he do? What does homeboy do to make you feel like you have to spend that type of money on him? Like, what does he do? Because it's something that he has a hold over. You get what I'm saying? So where is he going to be, basically, like Shaka Khan, there's a song out there that say, "What you gonna do for me when the chips are down?" So what is he gonna do for you when you're not able to keep spending and spending and spending like you do? Because the last quarter of this year, everything is gonna kind of come to a cease. In the end, it's gonna dry up a little bit. People's finances, people's checks on social media are decreasing over 50 to 60, 75%. Oh, yeah, they are. So you need to come on over to, the place of YouTube, like Teddy Pendergrass says, come on, go with me. Come on over to my place. I'm tired, y'all. It's late. But I'm just saying, you need to come on over to YouTube and get your subscriptions up, homegirl, and get you, some other things going for yourself. I crochet. I do a whole bunch of stuff. I try my best, and I'm still not making anything, but I do a lot of things out of happiness, this content and things like that. But honey, I'm going to need you to start spreading the risk, spreading your time, not just over FB, but start doing some other things, because you're gonna need it, homegirl. You're gonna need it, because like I said, somebody said they were making over 10K at one time, and since FB changed everything and they went over to that new program, it's gone down to $1,000 to $2,000 a month. That's a huge decrease. And so the thing about it is, she's saying about one thing, right, that she lost her car, and what other things can she, that she have to basically scale back on, food, we all know that that last cheese sauce looked like freaking ooze from the goddamn Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ooze. You get what I'm saying? It is what it is. and she's, they over there eating, probably hamburger helper and all that. But that's not because of the money. That's just because she just simply don't know how to cook. Simply, and she's simply not the best. The opposite of what Tina Turner said. Anyway, y'all, I'm just saying, like, obviously some things are going on, and I'm being a little bit, facetious, but at the same time, I'm trying my best to tell the girl to, start to have a little more streams of income. We're tired of seeing the paw prints. We're tired of seeing you half, dressed. We're tired of fussing and arguing, saying, please don't talk about, like, the rants and the raves and all that you're doing. Like, just stop and just be creative, and just get prepared. Get prepared for things to not be as plentiful. Everybody goes through their droughts. Everybody goes through their, harvest. It is what it is. And how long do you want to be in a drought? You have to start doing God's work. You have to clean yourself up. You have to give, Miss Brittany, if you want to, basically redeem yourself. Start to, give 10% to God and give it in the right heart. And anybody else who's listening to this, I am a testament to this. A testament. In fact, during this video, I was reminded of why God has been blessing us so much. Even though I'm working, even though my feet hurt, even though I'm up late, even though I'm not able to spend as much time with my husband as I would like to, but, we are able to do a lot of things for a short term, to one day get our harvest. Okay. But you're tithing. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're tithing on your channel as far as information. You're teaching about God. You're teaching others how to live, and God loves that. And I'm spreading that amongst others, to spread the good news, to help others, to be compassionate and have empathy. And it's not funny when someone is losing a car, losing money in finances, whether they have 5 children, 10 children, no children. I don't like to hear that. And so, honestly, I hope that things get better for her. I hope that she goes to some financial classes and, and credit and people who are credible. But get into that word, because God says something about your finances too. Let's go ahead and see what does God say about finances, okay? And then I'm going to let you guys go. What does God say about money? Let's just talk about money, okay? And I'm gonna give you guys some verses, and this is for Miss Brittany and whomever else wants to listen. Okay, what does God say about finances? Okay, and let's see, about money. Okay, about money. Yes, I'm actually looking this up as I am. All right. So the concept of money in spiritual context, especially within religious texts, often centers of themes of stewardship. We must become good stewards of our time and of money. And so she's not a good steward, and nobody is. We're not born this way. You come across information, you read the word, or you come across people like myself who are going to teach you. You get what I'm saying? But that's not something our parents teach us necessarily about being good stewards of your time, okay? Stewardship, moral responsibility, and the dangers of materialism. Christianity, the Bible discusses money extensively. Key teachings include stewardship. Believers are seen as stewards of their resources, responsible for using money wisely. And that is going to be in Matthew 25, verses 14 through 30. All right, guys, you can read that on your own time. Generosity, acts of giving are encouraged with verses like 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 7, emphasizing cheerful giving. So when you're a cheerful giver, God looks at that and he blesses you. Okay. Warning against greed. Scriptures such as 1 Timothy 6:10 highlights that the love of money can lead to various evils. Okay, so just understand that money is a tool. It's only a tool. It's not our God. It's not our talent. It's not anything like that. It's literally a tool that God gives us to be able to not just help ourselves, but to help others. One thing he does not want is for his people to be impoverished. And so don't ever let people think or people tell you that, God wants us impoverished, but he doesn't want us greedy. He doesn't want us to do devilish things for money. He doesn't want us, it's not money that's the root to all evil. It is the love of money. Okay, it's only so much money you need, guys. After a while, it just becomes a huge portal for the devil to come into your life. Judaism, money is viewed as a tool that can be used for good or ill, good or bad. Key principles include charity. There's a strong emphasis on giving to those in need. So give. $40,000 a month. Anybody making that, you can give and be fine. It should not be something that you keep, because the thing about it is, just like the people who were in going in circles for 40 years and 40 nights, or 40 days and 40 nights. I think it was. I don't know if it was 40 years, but 40 days and 40 nights. And God was giving them manna and everything, and then eventually they started to hoard it. And then what they hoarded, it showed that they didn't have faith. And so it went bad. They didn't have faith that God was going to supply to them, even on their day of rest and things like that. And, God, the day before their Sabbath, God actually gave them double so they would not, have to worry about getting money. But some of them, or getting what they needed, but some of them were greedy, and they would basically try to pocket it and save it for themselves, and it went bad. So what I learned from that is, don't do that. You get what I'm saying? So don't just keep your money as saying that you don't have faith that God is going to provide for you. He's going to, basically anything you spend or anything you give, God is going to replace it. You know what I mean? And give you more than you'll ever need. So yeah, charity is a part of it. Ethical behavior, business practices should be fair and just, reflecting a commitment to ethical standards. Okay? But yeah, you guys, you can basically go and study those verses that I went over about what God says about money. So what that shows me is that she's greedy. She's not even spending on her own children. So it's a spirit in there. Jezebel's spirit is very selfish and all about themselves. And so if you're keeping that all for yourself, then that explains why she's not able to basically provide for herself anymore. Because one thing that God does not want is one of the 7 deadly sins are greed. It's greed. And greed is all over this story. Yes, it is. All right, guys. So thank you so much for listening. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see ya